Hey, this is Matthew. Welcome back to Nerd News Today, where it's time for another wrestling figure review. I'm starting to kind of clean out my archives a little bit of toys that got backlogged and lost in the shuffle, and today we've got one that I actually purchased a long time ago, but not for review. So what we're looking at here today is a Series 64 Elite Edition of Curt Hawkins, and I actually bought this figure, in fact, when it did initially come out, and I got that figure signed by Curt Hawkins. I went to one of the major wrestling figure podcast events. In fact, it was the very first major pod event that was in New York at Caroline's Comedy Club, and I got to meet Curt, I got to meet Zach, I got to meet Sam Roberts, Hornswoggle, Maven. It was a really cool, fun night, and yeah, I got myself a Curt and a Zach, of course, to get signed, but I decided I want to get one for my loose collection as well, because I just think this is a really cool looking figure. And we know that Curt was released from WWE, and now he goes by Brian Myers, so I wanted to show some support to him, pick up his figure, and remind folks that this is still out there, and by all accounts, a pretty great figure, and we're going to find it out today as we open this guy up. But first, let's talk about the box itself. And we can see that this is the Elite box style format, and I say box because it's just this very nice, simple rectangle. They've just recently gone back to cutting out this part here, which is kind of similar to, I think it was the 2015 to 2017 Elite figures, which were kind of unique looking, but I gotta say I really prefer this style of Elite packaging. I prefer the box, it's just easier, more well balanced, just keep it simple. This has the TrueFX logo here because this is a TrueFX head scan, and that is a really great likeness that we'll get a better look at in a few moments. And the back here talks about that this is meant to be super duper loser Curt Hawkins. I can't think of a better term than that. But this figure, as we can see from the description, is meant to be all about his losing streak, which by the end of it was over 260 losses and one win when he finally won the tag team championship with Zach at WrestleMania. You can also see who else is in the line, none of which I have bought because I don't have interest in getting another Seth or another Cena or another Samoa Joe. But there are two pretty good looking Uso figures in this lineup, so recommend those. I might even get those one day if I can find them out in the wild. I think another really great touch here is if you look up top here, it lists some of their stats. And of course, one of them is his finisher, which is listed as NA because the man hasn't won a match with a finisher, well, really until WrestleMania. So at that point, I really didn't even know what his finishing move was. I'm not even sure if he knows what his finishing move is, to be honest, but maybe Curt can help us figure that out later. And the side of the box has a really great photo of Curt. The other side just has his name in case you didn't know who you were looking at. So with that said, let's go ahead, take Curt out of the packaging and see how he holds up. And here is our Curt Hawkins now loose out of the box. It's a really great looking figure, even more so out of the packaging. When you take it out of the package, all you really have to worry about is his walking stick here. This little nubbin gets a little caught in the plastic part because there is basically a little holster area for it in the plastic over here. So just be careful with that. But as you can see, it is actually a pretty flexible piece of plastic, so it's not a big deal. But let's talk about that likeness, and that is 100% Brian Myers. I mean, this thing just looks really, really great. It's a really good head sculpt. I can't get over how good it looks, to be honest. It's sad that this is ultimately going to be one of his last Mattel figures for who knows how long, if ever again. But man, what a way to go out, because that's just 100% him. Everything about it looks superb. One of the reasons I wanted this particular figure is because I love the outfit. This Curt Hawkins here is in our blue and orange. He's basically in his New York Mets colors, which I thought was really cool. And to be honest, I'm not a baseball fan whatsoever, but I do like orange, I do like blue. I think it's a great color combination, and I just think it looks awesome here. It's a real kick-ass deco for him. This Curt Hawkins, by the way, also had the chase in the lineup. So there was a black and orange version. That was the harder to find one. And they're both really good looking. I've actually seen them both in person. I kind of wish I had bought the black one as well, but this was just easier to find at the moment. But really, they're both great. Can't go wrong with this figure whatsoever. So Curt, besides his walking stick here, also has his entrance gear, which is his vest. So I'm going to take that off now. So you guys can see the walking stick here. I think this is actually what he came out with when he was in that 2-pack with Tyrus a long time ago. So it's pretty sure the same thing. It is a little flexible, so I'm hoping that I can eventually get it to be completely straightened out. That part's kind of fun that they went with the flexible material. But yeah, it's nice the fact that they included that with him. So Curt has his kick pads on, he's got his signature logo, face the facts, because that was what he was doing when he first came in. It was almost like these Chuck Norris facts, except with Curt Hawkins. And that's why I'm actually kind of wondering, like, here's face the facts again. I don't really necessarily think this is meant to be from his losing streak. I think this is more from when he first kind of returned to WWE, and he was face the facts Curt Hawkins, which ultimately kind of went nowhere, but did lead us to the losing streak, and then that led us to him becoming a tag team champion. I do really like this vest though, and again, the outfit, despite it really being nothing too fancy at all, but that's fine. I think the outfit, color-wise, everything looks great. And that vest really is just what makes this figure stand out. The vest is so cool. It's got the pockets, it's got the little cushiony parts on it. Really great detail on this guy. Let's see if we can take it off now though, because that's what I'm curious about. It is a hard piece of rubber, so these things typically, as I've noticed, oh, he's a stiff boy. These things typically get looser over time, but the first time you take it off, they're going to be rough and unpleasant. I don't really have any great strategies. I guess just be very careful with it. There we go. It's actually almost completely out now. So you can see he does a little bit of paint schmutz there. That is something that you really couldn't see until you got them out of the packaging. So that is unfortunate. It's one of those things I like to avoid with my wrestling figures, but I'm going to probably keep that vest on him forever because I just think it looks great like that. So I'm not too concerned about that. But this Curt here has all of the typical articulation that we get with any of the Elite figures, which is a ball jointed head. It's pretty stiff. Ball jointed shoulders, bicep swivel, single jointed elbow, and bendable wrists. We have the buck that bends, waist that twists. Wow, I don't think Curt could ever do that before, but now he can do a split, so that's pretty great for him. Got thigh flexibility, double jointed knees, so you can go all the way back and do the stanky leg. And he's got an ankle joint that also moves, which he can't easily grab from here. Curt also comes with two hands. He comes with a pair of closed fists. So let's see if we can swap those out right now. So far, so good. That's the pop of success. There we go. Wow, nice and easy. Look at that. Now Brian Myers is ready to beat some folks up. But he doesn't only just come with spare hands, stick, and an entrance vest. No, sir. He also has this raw door, raw window, part of the raw entrance set. I don't remember what they actually called this thing, but it's basically a breakaway raw display. And what you're looking at is what you get. You'll notice it doesn't really stand up very easily on its own. Well, that's because there's absolutely nothing supporting it from behind. I thought there would have been something from behind actually to keep it up, but there isn't. So, how about that? Upon further inspection of the packaging, dun dun dun, we do in fact have support legs. I don't know how I managed to miss this. I kind of just took them out of the packaging really, really quickly. And I decided not to edit this and make myself look any smarter. I'm just gonna let you guys know. Well, go ahead and start your I effed up chance. But let's go ahead and put our support legs on our raw breakaway thingy and see if it works any better. This also gives me a chance to see how easy this thing gets put back together, because that part I'm also kind of curious about. Let's go ahead and put these support legs in first and see how that works. So just so you guys know, the bottom part for this piece is the part that has the little legs there jutting out, and just go ahead and put it on like that. Slides in actually and snaps together very easily, very quickly. Do it on this side. Oh wow, that was real easy. Okay, yeah, we're definitely in a much better position right now. Let's try now and get everything else back in place. And pro tip, guys, when you're building this, build the doorway separately and then stick it on in here, because otherwise you're gonna have quite a hard time putting this thing in there. But once you do that, wow, way better. I don't know how I managed to miss that in the packaging, but somehow I did. So, all right, now that this is in there, let's see if it breaks any easier, which I would hope that it does. Bombs away, Curt. Oh yeah, much nicer. I'm gonna leave him like that. So at the end of the day, this is a really great Curt Hawkins Elite figure. I think it's just also a really great Elite figure, period. Curt's one of those guys that really didn't get a lot of figures, especially in the last run that he had. But the few that he had were really, really nice. And I think in particular, this Elite version of him is pretty much the best. At least it's my favorite of him. I think it's the most iconic outfit from one of the best periods he had in the company. Basically since his Edgehead days, to be honest, in my opinion. And add to the fact that he also got way over thanks to the Major Wrestling Figure Pod. He basically, him and Zach, kind of grew up their new fan base, expanded who they were, expanded their fan audience, and gave us toy collectors something really fun to listen to and look forward to every week. And I gotta say that Mattel really went all out with this as well. The fact that they included a pretty fair amount of accessories, to be quite honest, for a guy that really hasn't had a lot of accessories. I mean, they gave him spare hands, they gave him the walking stick, they gave him the vest, and they gave him that breakaway Raw sign. But at the end of the day, it's a very, very, very good Curt Hawkins figure. I think it's a must-have if you're a Major Wrestling Figure Pod fan, and I'm pretty sure you probably are if you're watching this right now. And again, keep in mind, there is a black and orange variant as well. I think either one is good to have. This one's just, of course, a little bit easier to find. So again, as we mentioned at the start of this video, that Curt was recently let go from WWE, and it looks like this is probably the end for him for at least quite some time. Where he goes next, who knows? I'm hopeful, though, that we see him over in AEW. hopefully along with Matt Cardona as well. And if that's the case, then I'm sure we're going to get ourselves action figures with these guys in another year or so. But fingers crossed. At the very least, I want to wish the best of success to both of them and whatever they do next. That isn't just the podcast, unless that's all they want to do too. And if that's the case, go all in with the Major Wrestling Figure Pod. So until next time, I'm Matthew from Nerd News Today. That's our Elite Curt Hawkins. And as he would say on his autographs, best wishes. See you guys next time.